My sister failed her exams, so my parents canceled my graduation party telling me don't make this about you. They stole my special moment to protect her feelings and called me selfish for crying. I decided I was done being the backup child. I secretly withdrew my $9,145 and disappeared to Stanford without saying goodbye when they finally saw me on the news. My mom grabbed Dad's arm so hard it left bruises. I grew up in a split level in a Midwestern suburb. My dad sold commercial insurance. My mom ran the front desk of a dental office. I was the older daughter, the quiet one, the straight-A kid, the one who got called intense for actually trying. My sister Amber is 2 years younger, and in our house, she was the golden child. I don't mean that as a buzzword. I mean our living room had 17 framed photos of Amber and 3 of me, and 2 of those 3 were group shots where she was in the frame too. In 8th grade, her birthday got celebrated 3 separate times because she was feeling down. My 16th got pushed back 2 weeks because Amber had a bad day at cheer tryouts, and my mom said we couldn't make it about me while Amber was hurting. The Christmas photo above the fireplace has my left shoulder cropped out so Amber could be in the center. It's been hanging there for 11 years. I used to tell myself it was just a bad crop. Later I realized the whole house was cropped that way. Amber's moods were the weather. If she was happy, dinner was calm. If she was upset, my mom moved through the rooms like someone defusing a bomb, and my dad would knock on my door and ask if I could keep it down for your sister. So I kept it down. For years. And while I kept it down, I did something else. I started saving. I babysat the Hendersons twins at $14.50 a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. At 15, I tutored SAT prep for $30 an hour, word of mouth through our youth pastor. At 17, I opened my own account at the credit union on Route 9, the one behind the CVS, and I told exactly nobody. Because here's the thing about being the backup child, you learn early that anything that makes you visible becomes a problem. A grade, a trophy, a compliment from a teacher, a savings account, evidence that you were trying to be more than the house had room for. When my mom once found a bank envelope in my backpack, she laughed and said I was being dramatic about money. When my dad heard about a tutoring check, he suggested I loan some to Amber's car fund, because family helps family. I didn't. I never told them the balance. I never told them the PIN. The last time I logged in, the balance was $9,145. Exact. I could have told you that number in my sleep. I didn't know it yet, but that quiet little number was about to be the most important thing I owned. The next morning, my parents asked me to come downstairs for a quick conversation. A quick conversation in our house was never quick and was never a conversation. The kitchen table was set for 3. My mom sat across from me, with her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee that had gone cold. My dad stood behind her chair with his arms crossed. Between us on the table sat a single sheet of paper, face down. Community college letterhead bled through the back. Amber wasn't there. My mom told me, carefully, that Amber had just failed her second nursing prerequisite. That she'd barely been able to get out of bed all week. That having a party in her face right now wasn't fair to her. My dad looked at me the way he looked at a receipt he didn't want to pay. We just think you can be the bigger person here. The bigger person. As if my graduation was a cookie on a plate and I was being asked to hand it over. I asked if they meant move it or cancel it entirely. My mom didn't blink. We've already called the restaurant. I stood up and went looking for Amber. Her door was locked. I knocked once, waited, and was about to walk away when it opened hard, too fast, like she'd been standing behind it. Her eyes were red. Her hair was in a messy bun, and she was wearing my Stanford hoodie, the one I'd bought myself with tutoring money the week I got my acceptance. She didn't say hello. Everyone's always making a fuss over Claire. Just once, I'd like to not be the afterthought. She said it like a line she'd practiced in the mirror. Before I could answer, my mom was in the hallway behind me, already reaching past my shoulder to pull Amber into a hug, already whispering, "I know, honey, I know." My dad stood at the top of the stairs and looked at me like I was the one who'd made her cry. Nobody asked if the hoodie was mine. That afternoon, I took my valedictorian speech out of my jacket pocket and read it twice. It was 420 words on 2 folded sheets. I'd written it in the library over 3 nights. The ending mentioned Stanford, not as a brag, but as a thank you to a chemistry teacher named Mrs. Carter who'd written my recommendation letter and, in her words, lit a match under me sophomore year. My mom knocked on my bedroom door around 4. She sat on the edge of my bed, the way she did when she wanted something but wanted me to think it was a conversation. Sweetie, about tomorrow. I waited. I was thinking, could you just tone it down a little? The Stanford part. You know how she gets. I asked her what tone it down meant. Maybe skip that paragraph. Or, don't say the word. Just let Amber feel okay about it, sweetie. I told her no. It was the first time in my life I'd said that word to her without softening it. No, I don't think so. No, I'll think about it. No, maybe we can find a compromise. Just no. She stared at me for a long second, then let out a little laugh, the kind of laugh my mother used when she was embarrassed and wanted to pretend you were the problem. It's one speech, Claire. Don't make this about you. She walked out and didn't close the door. I sat on my bed with my speech in my lap and felt something quiet shift. For 22 years, I'd been shrinking inside this house, making myself narrower, quieter, less of whatever it was that made Amber's jaw tighten. I'd gotten so used to it I hadn't noticed the shape I'd folded myself into. That night, my dad sent me an email. 11:47 p.m. Subject line: a few things you need to hear. It was 1,200 words. I counted. It was a list. Not a letter, a list of every time in the last decade he believed I had made myself the center of attention at Amber's expense. The county science fair in 10th grade, where I placed second. My SAT score 1540, which he wrote out as 1,540, a number you seem to feel the need to mention. The local newspaper article about my Siemens semifinal, a dinner at my grandmother's, where I'd mentioned I'd gotten into a summer research program. He remembered them all. He had dates. He closed with this: we have given both of you equal love. The difference is you cannot stand not being the favorite. Your mother and I are tired of your selfishness. Your father, I read it twice. Then I took a screenshot. Then I made a folder on my laptop, named it Proof, and dropped the screenshot in. It was the first file in the folder. It would not be the last. The next morning, I graduated alone. My mom and dad stayed home. Amber stayed home. The seat I'd held for my family in row 12 sat empty through the whole ceremony. I gave the speech I'd written. I said the word Stanford 3 times. A chemistry teacher named Mrs. Carter stood up in the second row and clapped with her hands over her head, and when I walked off the stage, she hugged me the way a mother would and whispered, "I am so proud of you." I went home to an empty house. Amber's door was closed. My parents' car was gone. I ate a slice of grocery store cake by myself at the kitchen table and decided to stay quiet for a week. Let things cool. See what happened. What happened was Instagram. Amber posted a story that afternoon. It was a long one, a wall of text on a pink gradient background, the kind she used when she wanted something to look vulnerable. She didn't use my name. She didn't have to. Some people in your life will always have to be the spotlight, even on days that aren't theirs. Even when you're drowning. Even when all you asked for was a little space. I love my family, but I'm done pretending this toxic dynamic is normal. The photo attached was a picture of me from behind at some family dinner 2 years ago, blurred just enough to be plausible deniability. By 4 in the afternoon, the post had 140 likes. Her friends were in the comments. "Who hurt you, babe? You deserve peace, hun." One girl I barely remembered from Amber's cheer squad wrote, "Older sisters are the worst, sending love." People Amber and I both knew were screenshotting. I didn't post anything. I didn't comment. I saved every single screenshot into the folder called Proof. My mom called me at 7. I let it ring twice before picking up. She didn't say hello. She said, "Claire, you need to call Amber and apologize." I asked what I was apologizing for. My mom's voice got tight. "You know what this looks like. You know how it makes us look. We don't air family business in public. That is not how we do things. Just smooth it over. You know how she gets when she's embarrassed." I told her Amber was the one who posted. "Don't be difficult about this." The call lasted 22 minutes. She cried 3 separate times. My dad got on the line twice, once to call me ungrateful, once to tell me Stanford had gone to my head. I sat on the kitchen floor with my back against the dishwasher and listened to my parents ask me, in very soft voices, to apologize to my sister for a post my sister had written about me. At the end of the call, my dad said calm, almost casual, "If you don't call her and make this right, you're not welcome at Sunday dinner. Or any Sunday after that." He said it like he was doing me a favor. I didn't say anything. I hung up, and I sat on that kitchen floor for a long time. My Stanford orientation was in 37 days. I hung up on my parents, and I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was crying, because I was reading. I opened the thread with my mom on my phone and started scrolling. Up, up through 3 years of texts. I went back to the start of my junior year of high school, and I read every single message she'd ever sent me. I wasn't looking for a fight. I was looking for a number. By 3 in the morning, I had it. 47. 47 messages where my mom had asked me to be smaller, to tone it down, to not mention it in front of Amber, to be the bigger person, to let her have this one, to not make today about you, honey. There was a message from the week I got my Stanford acceptance that said, maybe don't bring up the scholarship at dinner. Amber just got her grade back. I'd forgotten that one. I'd trained myself to forget. 47 times she had asked me to take up less room. Not one time had she asked if I was okay. I sat at my desk with my laptop open and I started organizing. I copied the email from my dad into the folder called Proof. I took screenshots of the 47 messages and numbered them, 1 through 47, in the file name. I exported my bank statement and saved the PDF, $9,145. I added the photo of Amber's Instagram post. I added the comments under it. I added the draft of my valedictorian speech with my mom's tone it down message sitting next to it. By 5 in the morning, the folder had 31 files. I stopped calling what had happened to me a misunderstanding. I didn't know what I was going to do with any of it yet. I just knew I wasn't going to be the only person in my family who remembered things accurately anymore. And then, around 11 that night, my phone buzzed. My Aunt Linda. My aunt is my mom's younger sister. She lives 2 states away. We see her maybe twice a year, and for most of my life, she has been someone I liked from a safe distance. Her text said this: "Your mom told me a few days ago that they weren't coming to your graduation. I told her that was wrong. I should have told you. I am so sorry I didn't say it louder, sooner. I saw your speech was beautiful. I am proud of you, honey." I read it 3 times. I saved it. 20 minutes later, another buzz. Different number. My little brother Ethan's gamer tag on the chat app he used because my mom monitored his phone. He is 14. He wrote, "Mom made me tell you last year that I didn't want to come to your science fair. I did want to come. I'm sorry I lied. I saw her story of beat Amber on Instagram. She's lying too." That was the first time someone in my house had ever apologized to me. The next morning, I opened Instagram out of habit, not intention. Amber's post was still up. The comments had moved. A woman named Priya, who I had barely spoken to since 12th grade, had left this. Anyone who actually knows Claire knows exactly who this post is about and exactly who's lying in it. In 3 comments under Priya, I saw a name I recognized so hard I put the phone down and picked it up again. Mrs. Carter, my old AP chemistry teacher, the one who'd written my Stanford recommendation, the one who had stood up in row 2 and clapped with her hands over her head. She had written, under her real name, with the school district verification badge next to her handle, "Claire earned every bit of her recognition, the 1540 SAT, the Siemens semifinal, the Stanford research offer. She didn't take anything from anyone. Whoever this post is about is not the person in her life causing harm." The comment had 41 likes when I refreshed, 60 by the time I looked again. By noon, Amber had deleted the post, but I had already screenshotted everything. I did not wait for Sunday dinner. On Monday morning, I went to the credit union on Route 9 and asked the teller for a withdrawal. All of it, $9,145. The teller, a woman in her 50s with a cross on a chain, asked if I was okay. I told her I was going to be. She counted it out in hundreds. I walked out with 3 envelopes in 3 different pockets of my backpack. Then I went home, and I did something I had been afraid to do my whole life. I opened my dad's filing cabinet. I took my birth certificate. I took my social security card from the second drawer of my mom's vanity, where it had lived since I was 8. I took the red Stanford envelope out from under my pillow and the scholarship letter that promised me $18,400 a year. I took my laptop. I took the speech I'd given. I took 2 suitcases of clothes and left everything else. I had 37 days until Stanford orientation. I needed a place to stay between here and there. I called a friend from high school, a girl named Danny whose mother had always looked at my family a little too carefully at soccer games. Danny said yes before I finished the question. Her mom said, "Get here tonight. We've got the guest room." That afternoon, I sat at the top of the stairs with my 2 packed suitcases and I looked, one last time, at the Christmas photo above the fireplace. The one with my shoulder cropped out. 11 years of pretending it was a bad crop. I thought about what it would cost me to stay quiet. Not the loud cost, the small one. Missing orientation. Arriving at Stanford already a month behind. Learning, one Sunday dinner at a time, to flinch smaller and smaller until there was nothing of me left to flinch with. Teaching Ethan, by example, that in our family you apologize for things you didn't do. Letting Amber's version of me go on record because I was too tired to write my own. Staying quiet had always looked free. Up close, it had a receipt. I carried the suitcases to the front door. My mom heard the wheels on the hardwood. She came out of the kitchen fast. My dad came down the stairs behind her. Amber's door stayed shut, but I could tell by the quality of the silence that she was listening. My mom put herself between me and the door. "Claire, what do you think you're doing?" I told her I was leaving. "If you walk out that door," she said, "don't come back." My dad, behind her. "You're being dramatic. Put the bags down." I didn't put the bags down. I stood in the hallway I had grown up in, and I looked at my mother, really looked at her, the way you look at someone you're about to remember for a long time, and I said, very quietly, "I heard you." Then I walked around her. My dad didn't move. My mom didn't move. Nobody grabbed my arm. Nobody said my name. The screen door clacked shut behind me, and I pulled 2 suitcases down 3 concrete steps, and I did not look back. Danny's mom was waiting at the curb with her car running. 6 weeks later, I moved into graduate student housing at Escondido Village. My room was the size of a walk-in closet and had one window facing a eucalyptus tree. I thought it was beautiful. I took a 15-hour-a-week shift at Green Library, shelving returns. I joined a research lab run by a professor named Dr. Park, who studied enzyme mimetics, which, if you ask me to explain it at a dinner party, I will still try, and I will still lose you. 3 months in, Dr. Park handed me a paper at the end of a lab meeting and said, "I'd like you to present this at the undergraduate symposium." The symposium is mostly 3rd and 4th years. I was a freshman. I said yes before he finished the sentence. I did not tell my family. I didn't tell anyone at home. I didn't need to. A girl from my old AP bio class had stayed a mutual friend with Amber on Facebook, and when a congratulations post went up on the university's undergraduate research page with my name on it, the girl reshared it. Amber reshared it too, with a caption. "Some people will step on their family to get their name in lights. Claire Mercer, congratulations on stepping on all of us." This one had my full name. No more pink gradient. No more plausible deniability. 23 minutes later, the comments started. My Aunt Linda, from her real account, "Claire didn't step on anyone. Your parents canceled her graduation and you posted this." I watched it happen. "Priya, same as before, calmer this time. Second time you've tried this. It didn't work the first time either." "Mrs. Carter, 2 lines. I taught both these girls. Claire earned everything she has. This post is a lie and deleting it won't change who wrote it." And then, from an account I didn't recognize until I read the display name, Merck, 14, my little brother Ethan, from a new account my mother didn't control. She didn't step on anyone. You just couldn't stand that she was leaving. Amber locked her account by the end of the day. My mom called me 4 times. I let it go to voicemail 4 times. The symposium was on a Saturday in April. The hall seated 240 people. My poster was on catalytic selectivity and enzyme mimetics. 12 minutes of me in a borrowed blazer, 3 judges, with name tags from the chemistry department, a clicker that kept sticking on slide 4. I spoke calmly. I spoke clearly. I said the word Stanford once, at the beginning, the way you say your last name, because it was mine now, and nobody in that room was going to ask me to tone it down. I won Best Undergraduate Poster. The official at Stanford account posted a photo of me holding the certificate that afternoon. I was smiling. Dr. Park was standing next to me, smaller than I remembered him from the front of the lab. The caption said, "Freshman Claire Mercer wins Best Undergraduate Poster at this year's symposium." For the first time in my life, I was the center of attention and there was nobody in my family there to cancel it. My phone buzzed once, in my pocket, during the reception. "Mrs. Carter." 7 words. 47 messages couldn't keep you small. I stepped outside the hall to read it. The sun was going down behind the night management center. A line of undergrads was coming up the path in the other direction, laughing, one of them holding a stack of programs. I stood there in a borrowed blazer with a certificate tube under one arm, and I read those 7 words 3 times, and I cried for about 90 seconds not because I was sad, but because, for the first time in 4 months, I felt the full weight of what it had taken to get here, and I let it land. Then I wiped my face, went back inside, and accepted a free cookie from the refreshment table. That night, my dad sent me an email. 340 words this time. Shorter, softer. It did not contain the word sorry. It said, instead, we didn't realize how this would look. It said, your mother is having a hard time. Having a hard time. The exact structure my mother had used, 4 months earlier, to cancel my graduation. Only now it was pointed at her. I dropped the email into the folder called Proof. It was the 38th file. I did not reply. My parents kept writing. My mother sent flowers to my dorm that I declined at the front desk. My father wrote 4 more emails, each a little shorter than the last. I did not reply to any of them. I was not angry. I was just, finally, done performing. The people I did write back to were Aunt Linda and Ethan. In March of my freshman year, Ethan asked if he could visit for spring break. He was 15 now. My Aunt Linda offered to pay for the flight. My parents were not invited and were not told. Ethan stayed in a homestay 2 blocks from my dorm for 4 nights. I took him to the lab, where Dr. Park shook his hand like he mattered. We ate pho on University Avenue. On the last night, I sat him down at the small desk in my room and I walked him through how to open his own savings account the same way I had opened mine at 17, at a credit union on a road he'd never seen. I told him to keep the pin to himself. He nodded like someone being handed a map. When his flight took off on Sunday, I stood outside my building and I felt something I had not felt in my entire life inside that split-level house in the Midwest. I felt like an older sister. I'm a sophomore now. My room here is bigger than the closet at Escondido. There's a real desk, a real window, and on the wall above the desk, in a cheap black frame, I've hung the Stanford acceptance letter. The red envelope sits next to it, empty. I keep the folder called Proof on my laptop. I don't open it anymore. I don't need to. People ask me, sometimes, if I regret walking out. If I'll go back when my parents get older. If blood is thicker than whatever it was I chose over them. Here is what I tell them. I was not the backup child. I never was. I was the one they expected to make herself smaller so someone else could feel big. That's not a family. That's a toxic dynamic with assigned seating. I have my own table now. And every seat at it belongs to someone who asked if I was okay.